Hey Ray, so today I'm here to do a Q&A with Mark. I asked you guys over on Instagram for some questions, so we are just gonna go ahead right through those and jump right into it because it's been a long time since we've done a Q&A together. Okay, so it's the end of the video, but I'm going to insert this really quickly. Mark and I had a debate this last time talking about doing this Q&A, and I want you guys to leave it down in the comments. I didn't want to leave this at the end because we are on an hour of footage, so hopefully you can get that cut down. But let me know down in the comments below if you guys have any way that you think it would be a cool idea for a Q&A. Mark here wanted to live stream while playing Sims, which is something that I enjoy doing, but I wasn't sure if you guys would like it. So let me know down in the comments below if that's something you guys would tune into, like a live Q&A where we're answering your questions and stuff like that. And maybe next time we will do something like that. But I wasn't sure if you guys would like something set up like that. So you're gonna have to let me know. So the first question is how are you both doing? So do you want to start or do you want me to go?
Great.
I'm great too. Things have been great. Do you want to elaborate?
No.
Was your great sarcastic?
Always is.
I mean, as a family, we've been doing good. As us, we've been doing good. But, like, I think everything is so crazy right now. There's a lot going on in the world. So, as good as you can be, I guess. I don't know. You guys will have seen a video before this about how I'm doing, so I'll just keep it at great, and that is sarcastic. What are your pet peeves of each other? Do you remember what you said? I did let him see some of these ahead of time because Mark does not like being asked questions on the spot. He likes to be able to think of answers. So I did read them to him. So he's had time to What is it?
The toilet paper.
Oh
She always, 100% of the time, puts it on wrong. And she says she doesn't even try, but I know for a fact she tries.
No, I do not. I do not spend that much energy or time focusing. Like, I am literally, normally when I put the toilet paper on, it's because the kids have used it all. And I'm realizing it when I take my first pee for the first time in 14 hours. And I'm just literally just trying to slap it on there. Because if it doesn't go on the roll, then it will be knocked all over the floor or be, like, used as a toy. I don't pay attention that much, but he swears that I do it wrong every single time, and I could not care less what it looks like on the toilet paper roll, which is why I don't stop and think about it, but it infuriates him apparently. And then mine is, if I didn't hear what he was saying to me, I'll say, "What?" And he'll go, "What?" And I just want to throw something at him. Like, obviously I'm asking you what because I didn't hear you, but then he asked me that question back, and I don't know why. And I think it honestly started as a joke. You were just like messing with me, but now he knows it annoys me to no end, so he just does it, I think. So the next question is, any advice on marital communication? Hubs and I are having it rough right now. So we talked about this one beforehand to make sure that both of us were okay with saying anything. But honestly, that's something that we've been working with or on, whatever, however you want to put that, for the past few months. So I feel like that's an ever-evolving thing. If you are new to my channel or my videos, we have been together for 9 years in August. And in December, it'll be 5 years married. So we've been together for a while, and I feel like communication is something that just over the years, every once in a while, you're like, oh, we're not doing the best at that. We could probably stand to do better. So it's something that I think every once in a while you do have to kind of stop and assess. But I think noticing the signs that you're not communicating well is probably the only thing that you can do, you know, because you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to communicate 100, great 100% of the time. But we started noticing that we were arguing a lot, and like our arguments were like lasting longer and getting more like intense. Like we couldn't work things out, and it was because obviously neither one of us was understanding each other. So we've had to, I don't even know how you put it. But like when we first got together, we realized we were kind of doing the same thing and we set roles. So like it sounds dumb, trust me. I'm pretty sure you said it was dumb. But it's something that we still stick to 9 years later, and I think it helps. And as of recently, we've also been, I wouldn't say setting more roles or anything, just kind of getting back to the basics, but we don't swear, whether it's like in general at each other, anything like that. There's no name calling. There's no yelling. You're not allowed to raise your voice. And there's like no walking away from the conversation unless you say like, this isn't going in a good place. I'm just going to start breaking the rules. Then you can take a break. But there's no like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Something like that. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
I can't think of any. I mean, I think the swearing is probably the biggest one because it sets a limit, and if one of us swears, then we know it's gone too far,
right?
And we kind of back off, and I think that's been a really good thing.
Yeah, we both came from not great relationships beforehand, and that's how we had always fought, and that's how we were fighting with each other. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I know that when I personally hear somebody start swearing in an argument, I don't even hear what they're saying. Like, it's just like, all right, they're angry, I'm going to start getting angry. And it's just like, that's what the argument almost turns into. I think just noticing the signs that you're not communicating well and revisiting it and being honest, because there's things that I didn't want to be honest about. There's things he didn't want to be honest about, but you got to do it. Okay, so the next one is, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? And I told this one to him because I was like, I'm not very adventurous. So the weirdest thing that I can even think of is calamari, but that's not even weird. Like, that's just, I don't know. I think but that's as adventurous as I get, basically, is what I'm saying.
Cow's tongue. It was gross. And I was like 12 and didn't know any better.
That is so gross. I don't know how you're brave enough to do that.
I wasn't.
Would you do it out of peer pressure?
Yeah. I mean, just imagine your taste buds, but the size of what a cow's would be.
That's plenty. That is plenty. That's so gross. That's like some Fear Factor stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't they used to eat tongues on that show?
Yeah.
Ew. The next one is his favorite and least favorite meal that you've made. And I know these. So the first one is, what's your favorite meal of mine that I make?
The potato tacos that she's been making recently.
I got the idea from Taco Bell. I was going there when the girls were still in preschool, and after I would pick them up from school, I would stop there and I would scarf down a lunch. So when we got home, I could just feed the kids and worry about that and not worry about myself. But I was getting, I think it's like on their value or dollar menu, whatever they call it. But it's like a potato taco. And I was having them add grilled chicken into it. So it's like spicy potatoes, grilled chicken strips, and then their quesadilla sauce. And I think it had cheese too. And they were so good. And I was like, I could just make these at home. And it's really good. So we've been doing that. And what's your least favorite?
The sausage, potato, and green beans. What do you even call it? Stew.
Well, I don't even know like what you even call that. I don't even necessarily know what constitutes a stew, but that's what I just name it as. But yeah. Growing up, I think my mom did ham, potatoes, and green beans. But
I would like it more with the ham now that you say that.
I shouldn't have said anything. I don't know. Maybe I will. It's just ham is so expensive. You know, like that little block that I got at Aldi, it was like, I think close to $10. But I get the chicken sausage from Aldi and it's only $3. And I think he would like it if it was a bit more flavorful, but I get the spinach and feta so the girls will eat it. Because if it's even flavorful at all, they will not. They'll say it's spicy. They think like pepper's spicy, which I just don't understand. Like these girls eat some of the strangest things, but if it's flavorful, they want nothing to do with it. I don't know. But yeah, I knew that was coming. And then his favorite funny thing you do and yours of his. And honestly, I kind of forgot. Like I've been saying, we went over these and I totally forgot to think of this one.
Oh, I remember what I said. I said, when you try and pretend like you're going to win a wrestling match.
We've done those for like ever.
Yeah.
We've done that since we first got together. And I don't even know why. But like it just always kind of starts as like me kind of being playful and like climbing on top of him or something.
And me warning you that you're going to get hurt eventually.
Yeah. And then it just turns into a full-fledged like wrestling match. Like we had one just the other day on the bed and we were just like kept messing around. Oh, that was because I wanted to put I wanted to put him in a chokehold, but it was this. I saw a TikTok in this. It was this guy at a party, and he's like, "You ever notice how girls want to put you in a chokehold, and they're kind of good at it, but he's like, they're not that good, if you know what I'm saying." And this girl puts down her drink, goes behind him, starts wrestling with him, and puts him in a chokehold, straight face the entire time. He starts tapping out because his face is getting all red, and she just gets up and acts like nothing even happened. And I was like, I want to see like if I tried to put him in a chokehold, like if I could actually do it. But of course it turned into like a wrestling match. I did get the chance to.
Yeah.
It was all right. It wasn't a great one. I wasn't super proud of it. The next question is, what is some advice you can give couples dealing with reoccurring miscarriages, specifically dads? So I'll let him start because you did think of your answer. You remembered. Go ahead.
Just to make sure you guys talk about it because it's going to be hard. I know, yeah, you have to talk it out and have those down moments, because, and I guess for the guys, like, it's okay to have your moments too. I know there was times that I was like trying to make sure that she was okay before I had my moments, and I don't know, it's gonna be hard for a while, so it's not like there's gonna be a perfect time.
Right.
I think just you're both going through it together, so you can talk it out together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just make sure your wife is okay.
Yeah.
Or your significant other.
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes both ways too, and that was something that when we were talking about it and he mentioned that, it just kind of led us to us talking about he said he didn't really know what to say. Like, he didn't want to say it'll get better because you just don't know that. And I was saying that I agreed, and I don't really think that that's something anybody can offer you because there's no guarantee that when you're going through reoccurring miscarriages that it'll ever work out. And that's one of the hardest and scariest parts about it, is you just don't know when it's going to work, when it will be your time. You know, you really don't know at all. So I think the best thing that you can do is to communicate each other, because no one else is going to come close to understanding what you're going through, especially those little tiny details that just make that journey harder, whether it's doctor's appointments, it's testing, it's hospital trips, like everything like that. The person you're going through it with is just gonna know all of that, and you're not gonna have to explain those over and over again. So I think talking with them is gonna be one of the most therapeutic things, and just leaning into each other, and then, you know, just focusing on the fact that right now, you know, when you do have the moments of being pregnant, to just focus on knowing that for that, because that was something that I talked to my aunt, who's a therapist, and I had talked to her when we were going through it, that, you know, it was really hard when we would conceive just to not immediately, you know, have so many negative thoughts, which you're going to have no matter what. But, you know, her piece of advice to me was to focus what I knew in the moment. So if I knew that I was pregnant in that moment, to focus on that. I don't know any differently. And that's really all you can do, you know, because no one has a magic ball. There's no magic wand. You can't say when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. I mean, that's a big reason as to why we decided to not have any more biological kids, because there was no for sure, thing to say that this wouldn't happen again. And there's no for sure thing to say that, things are going to end great. So I think communicating with each other, leaning on each other, and just focusing on what's happening in the moment is the best you can do. And, if you're going through it, we're sorry, because we know how freaking exhausting and tough that is. 2 years later, I'm still sorting through my own crap to do with it. So it's not an easy or lighthearted thing at all. So I hope soon you guys are on the other side of it and you get your chance. So the next question, to jump into from a very deep topic into a lighthearted one. What diapers and wipes do you use with Lexi? So I just want to answer this because I don't think I've actually talked about it, but we use Honest diapers and Hello Bella wipes. But it's, I think, in large part because of your preference. Honestly, I'm a little bit more lenient and go with the flow, but he is so particular about what he likes diaper and wipes wise. It doesn't matter if they're a newborn or if they are 9 months old, he's got something to say about it. So I just kind of stick to what I know he likes. And he does like the Hello Bella wipes the best and the Honest diapers the best. Everything else he was very critical of. But, I mean, obviously if those things are out of stock, it's not like we're like, no, she will go naked and we will use rags. But, that's what we do use. And I feel like they work the best too. I mean, obviously that's a huge part of it. No reactions, hold and pee and poop.
I just feel like the Hello Bella wipes are like the perfect everything to get the job done.
Very affordable. And I like that I get those at Walmart because we go through wipes far faster than diapers. So the diapers I just get from Amazon, and we still have that 20% off from our baby registry from them. But the wipes I can go get from, when I'm going to the grocery store. And the next question is favorite family moments other than births, wedding and, stuff like that. Someone asked a similar question. So maybe we'll just do one of each. But someone also asked like what our favorite memory was before kids that wasn't, a wedding. So, I mean, but our wedding did come after kids. So, as far as family memory, mine was the other day. I made an Instagram post about it. Lexi was outside too, but we just had this water hose fight, me and the girls, and we were playing around with that. And right at the tail end of it, I tried to start getting Mark, and then Mark came inside and he found a giant bowl full of water and chased me across our yard and dumped it all over me. And everybody was wet, and it was just like fun and silly and just like the perfect little summer memory. So that's my favorite of our family. Also other ones is like we've been doing different movie nights, like with Frozen 2 when that came out. We bought that on digital, and we also rented Trolls 2 for Remy's birthday because of the pandemic. And we kind of just set up the Nugget. We made popsicles. I think we made popsicles both times for both of those occasions. And I don't know, we just like kind of made this cute little night out of it. And those kind of nights are a lot of fun too. And then as far as our favorite memory, for me, it's definitely the trip to Cape Cod that we had before we had Sophie. And I just remember thinking that like 11, 12 hours in the car with each other, we were going to hate it and we were going to argue and bicker and it was just going to be the worst. But it was honestly the best. And I was like 9 months pregnant. Yeah. I was like pregnant.
Other than me making me walk up the
oh my gosh
tower.
He wanted to go to this, was it a museum?
I don't know.
It was part of a museum. They had this like a tower.
It's probably like 900 steps.
Yeah, I don't even know what that thing was. It wasn't like a lighthouse or anything. It was just like part of this museum, like a landmark basically that you could walk up inside, and when you got to the top, you could come out and look at stuff. And he was like so, like, we need to do this. And I was like, I am 9 months pregnant. And it was rough. It honestly was. Like, we started off at, like, the front of the pack, and by the end of it, we were, like, the last ones. But, yeah. No, that trip as a whole was a lot of fun. But I remember the trip, it was just, like, I don't know. I just remember a lot of, like, funny little moments and messing around with each other and stuff like that. So, as far as our moments go. And we were also talking about this one, like, the concerts that we used to go to a lot. Those have a lot of good memories, too. Because that's something that I think we bond pretty well over. I thought of another one. Like, when I think of, like, early Mark and Alia days, I think of playing Slender Man.
Oh, gosh.
At Grandpa and Grandma's.
Yeah.
And we rented my Grandpa and Grandma's house when we first moved in together. And we played that, like, after we got off work at the pizza shop, and it was, like, it got so dark out there, and it was so dark, and it was so creepy, and that whole house could get pitch black, and it was the creepiest thing, but it was also so much fun, because we were screaming, like, that was a lot of fun, so, I don't know. Do you have any other family ones, or?
I think you definitely stole my one for the Frozen. Cause that was kind of like the girls had all went and seen it in theaters, and so I hadn't got to see it. So it was kind of like this thing for me to get to sit there and watch it with the girls, and they already knew all the songs because they saw it once and they had sung all the soundtracks or whatever.
Yeah.
And I had my Kristoff part that I had to sing.
Yeah, because Dad's Kristoff, Sophie's Elsa, Remy's Anna, Lexi gets to be Olaf, and that leaves Mom to be Sven. So, talk about drawing the short stick.
Hocking Hills was nice, too.
Yeah.
It was.
We need to go back there.
You don't have cell phone reception for 3 days? It's pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we could do that anymore, like, not having kids, you know?
Yeah, I guess we
But when we went for our first year anniversary, and you do, like, if you want to do anything, you have to do hiking and walking, and it's just, like, it's very outdoorsy. But we went at a time where it wasn't super hot, and we were also a lot more physically active and in better shape, so it wouldn't be nearly as much as a trip as it is now. But it was a lot of fun, and like you were saying, back then we had no responsibilities, so to not have cell phone reception was, like, no big deal, and, you know, I don't know. That was a really nice trip. Something else with the girls, though, like going to see Detective Pikachu and Toy Story 4. Those were the first 2 movies that we took to see them in theaters, and that was a lot of fun, too. I mean, it gets to be a little squirrely in the middle and towards the end, but it was alright. So, yeah. The older they get, I feel like the more fun we can have, if that makes sense. And, like, well, they can enjoy stuff more. You know, like, they understand what's going on. So, the next question is, what is the silliest thing that you guys argue about? And we try to think, and I think what we settled on is that there's not really, like, topics that we have silly disagreements about, but any little silly thing can be turned into an argument if I'm in a bad mood and he tries to test it. Like, I think he sees sometimes I've just got, like, a toot about me, and he'll try to make a little joke or, like, bust my balls, and I'm, like, not having it, and pretty soon we're fighting over hot Cheetos or something. Like, you know, just kind of things like that. But I feel like that's a committed relationship. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're gonna get on each other's nerves or with each other 24/7. So, the next question is, what you love most about each other? Now, we also had the question, and it's immediately after this one, what's your favorite and least favorite thing about each other? So, I think I have divvied it up well, in my head at least, if I can keep it all straight. But the thing that I love most about him is how caring he is. I will say that Mark is a pretty apathetic person. He sees a lot of things as, like, why does it matter? Like, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. But the things that he does care about, he really cares about. Like, in the most genuine, sincere form of that word. He does really care when it is deemed worthy by him. But, you know, he shows up. He really puts in the effort and everything when he does care about things. And I just feel like that's pretty rare. And that's something that, it's not even to do with me. It's not even to do with our family. Like, his friends, his other family, stuff like that. Like, you can just tell when he cares about things. And I love that. So, go ahead, top it.
Your butt. No.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I guess physical, yeah. But, I mean, I guess on a more, like, I guess emotional level, it's probably that, I mean, it kind of goes back to the communication. Like, I truly don't feel like our relationship would be as strong as it is without how much she makes sure that we communicate and how, you know, she makes sure that everything is taken care of with us as a couple, through communication. I don't know how else to say that, I guess.
Like, sometimes I think it can, especially if you're having a hard time communicating, it's like, I don't want to do this, you know, like, I don't want to argue with you. I don't, you know, it can be really easy to just dismiss things, but that's not how they get resolved either. Like, I don't like having arguments with him. I don't like disagreeing with him. I don't like having these painfully long talks to figure things out either. But if we're going to figure it out, it has to happen.
Ready for my least favorite thing?
Okay. Well, we have to do favorite thing first. Or should we lead with least favorite?
Oh, that was your favorite.
No. What we love most about each other.
Oh.
Is that what you love most about me?
Those are the two things, yeah.
Yeah. That and the butt.
Yeah. I mean, my least favorite thing is that she wants to communicate.
Well, I mean, like, I get it, though. Like, I'm a talker and he's not. So I can see why that in itself sometimes, like, I get it. I understand. I think part of good communication is being able to be, what's that word? Like, to have some humility. Like, I know I'm not always a joy to be with. I know that I'm not, you know, perfect. Stop it. Are you waiting to hear my least favorite thing about you?
Yeah.
It's got to be that you're defensive. He can be very defensive very quickly. Honestly,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I don't know how to put this in a way that won't get you in trouble, but I mean, I'm not going to have any shame about it. Like, I'm his best friend, so he tells me when he is annoyed with other people. I'm just going to say it. So I hear when he's annoyed by other people, and it's just like, I cannot fathom being, like, you being annoyed with somebody and you being as defensive as you can get sometimes. And some of the topics that we're talking about, I would not want to be on the receiving end. I just wouldn't. Like, I could tell that if he didn't like me and if he didn't love me, your defense mechanisms would be a lot more intense, and I don't know that I'd want to ever receive those. But yeah, sometimes he's just defensive. I don't know how else to put it. Like, so it can make it harder to get through to him sometimes. And even after 9 years, I have to reassure him that it's just me. Sometimes he's like a little wounded, caged animal, and you just gotta stick your hand in and let him sniff it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure, like, all the other past Q&As, people are like, they're such couple goals. And now they're like, wow, okay, this is real. Okay, so my favorite thing about him is just how well we get along. And that might not be fair, but I just feel like where we live, we are the oddballs out with a lot of things. And it's nice to have somebody who not only agrees with me about a lot of stuff, so he is my best friend, and I get to be married to him. I don't know, it like, getting along so well and agreeing about things, I think it's easier for us to laugh about stuff.
I can reiterate that. Like, I don't kind of like you said, it's not a fun thing to sit and communicate and talk things out and spend a couple hours on discussing things and working through your problems, but
you don't have to look so painful about it.
But at the end of the day, it's necessary, and it makes us a better couple and makes our relationship stronger. So during it, it's not the most fun thing, but I know if it wasn't for her and us doing that together, then our relationship wouldn't be as strong as it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like spending that time doing that either. And I find it to be difficult too for different reasons. But, I mean, it's hard work, but like, hasn't it been better than it was 4 months ago? I mean, a few months ago we were arguing and like that argument would be the stupidest thing ever. And it would last for like 2-3 days. And we're like, that's not okay. And I feel like just the other day we had an argument about something and it got resolved pretty quickly because we were able to see that we weren't on the same page. So it is hard and it's difficult and nobody's going to like it. But if you want to have more good moments than you want to spend hours, days, whatever arguing, you kind of just got to do it. And that's the way I see it. Is like I try not to dwell on how painful something is and just do it and just get it over with. So the next question is, how do you balance marriage and motherhood and intimacy after having a baby? So as far as the marriage and motherhood, it's just making as much time for him as I can. You know, whether that, I know we've said this over the years a lot, and I think it's, some people, I've had people like react on Instagram with the laughing emojis. So I don't know if people don't understand what I'm saying necessarily, but I have to make time for him, whether it's getting a babysitter and going and doing stuff, which I know with the pandemic right now, like that's not always feasible, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do at home after your kids go to sleep or even while they're up, you know, having them entertain themselves and being able to watch something together, play a board game together, like whatever. You're just going to have to find what works for your family to find that time to be, I was going to spend quality time, but that's what we like to do. I know like other people may like doing other things. Maybe it's more meaningful for your relationship if you go do stuff with your kids. Maybe it's more meaningful if you both also spend a little time to like alone, or I don't know, like that's just going to vary, I guess, reflecting on it. But for us, and for me more personally, it is like spending very one-on-one time together, not being mom and dad, being Mark and Alia. That means a lot. So as of recently, it's typically been at night after the kids go to sleep. I would say like once every few days at least, we try to make sure that we're doing something together, whether it's playing a game, watching something, whatever, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, our kids have a bedtime and we try and stick to it pretty well, and so our time is usually after they go to bed, after their bedtime.
Even individually too.
Yeah.
Because we're not spending every single night doing stuff together. There's a lot of nights that he's playing his video games, I'm working, I'm watching something, he's watching something, you know, he might go to bed early, I could stay up and get laundry done. Like, it all varies every single night what we're doing. But like he's saying, the one thing I think we've been very strict about as parents is bedtime. So thankfully our kids do go to sleep, they stay asleep, and except for Remy, who likes to creep out of a hallway and scare your soul straight out of your body. Because we just won't. Anyways, so we have that time for ourselves and we just try to make it count. And I know for a lot of people, you know, going out or having babysitters, stuff like that may not still be feasible. But when it is, to take advantage of it, you know? And I think it was like before all of this happened, one of the very last times we did go out without the kids, my mom watched them, and I don't even think it was overnight. She just watched them, so we went and we got carry out from someplace. We sat in the car, and We got some board games to take home and play after the kids were asleep. And, you know, you can still try and make things work. You just gotta get a little creative, especially now. And then as far as intimacy after having baby, we both agreed that, again, kids go to sleep. I think that's a pretty common, you know, answer to that question. But also, if your kids are old enough, they get distracted. So whether it's a video game or a TV show, and I'm sure you've got multiple rooms in your house, and you just got to get creative and go with the flow. I don't know. I'm sure if you're planning things out, that's got to be frustrating, because I know if you ever try to like set a time and a day and stuff like that, it would get interrupted and the craziest things would happen to just almost perfectly interrupt it. We're just saying that if your kids are, you know, safely distracted by something during the day or they're asleep at night, take advantage of the time you have and make it happen. The next and last question is advice to partners of exclusively pumping moms, and how can you support her and the baby? So we did talk about this a little bit, and it was just because I don't even know how to put it now. I can't remember where we left off talking about it.
I think you just were saying that if they're supportive, then supporting them through exclusively pumping is going to come naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like if breastfeeding is part of their motherhood journey and you're supporting your partner through motherhood, that's just going to be one more thing that is part of that, you know? So if you're a hands-on parent and you're worried about, you know, supporting your girlfriend, wife, fiance, whoever she might be to you through motherhood, then that'll just come. But he did think of something specifically.
If there's going to be rough times for your wife or significant other and they're going to want to quit, they're going to want to just throw it out the window. And I know there was a lot of them instances, but I had to remind her of her goals and remind her that just to not make a decision while it was in its roughest point. You know, I never would have told her to just, she had to do it, but I knew what she wanted to do and that she had a certain goal in mind. And, you know, so a lot of times it was just in that moment, you know, that she was having a rough time. So, yeah.
Yeah, like when I think of, if you had to ask me the points that I thought he was the most supportive during my journeys, that's what I would say. Is there was a lot of different times that things were really hard for me. And when they are that complicated and your emotions are high and, you know, you can't figure things out and things are just generally tough, it's really easy right then and there to just be like, you know what, forget it, I'm done. And that's perfectly okay. But he would just always encourage me to make that decision when I felt better, like when I got on the other side of stuff. So he wasn't ever being pushy or shovey or anything like that. He was just reminding me what I had felt like a week before when I wasn't going through a tough time. So that was pretty huge. And there was just other times, like physically when things were hard. There was on more than one occasion from different reasons, but that I could not like physically pump, whether it was from a stomach flu or maybe the one time that I went to my niece's bachelorette party. I could not like get my pump. I could not sit up and pump, and he basically did everything for me, especially when I had that stomach flu. I remember I was sitting on the bed and I literally had one arm holding me up and the other one like holding up my head. And he literally put my hands-free bra on for me. He put my flange on. He turned it on, like everything. So, I mean, there's even instances like that where he like physically stepped in and did a lot of stuff for me. And there's still things like that that are super helpful, whether it's doing the bottles that I didn't ask him to or stuff like that, or, you know, while I'm pumping, I'll ask him to go give Lexi a bottle or to grab me one, little things like that. It just is one less thing that I have to worry about while I'm pumping. But the biggest thing is what? Sorry.
I'm just going to say also that, like, obviously it's going to be, like, for the dad or whatever, it's there's gonna be times where it seems like they're constantly hooked up to the pump, and that it's gonna like, but just you have to focus on what they're doing and how much money they're saving you.
And what it means
Yes.
I think is what you're trying to say.
But
also the money that they're saving you.
But yeah, it's gonna seem like every other minute it's like there's plenty of times I swear that she had just finished pumping and she's like, oh, I gotta pump again.
And now I even pump at 4 hours, so it's like a pretty good stretch. But and coming from the exclusively pumping mom's point of view, like him saying that, just understand that they don't want to be there. I don't know anybody who is like, yes, I want to pump. Like, obviously I've chose to do that, but at the same time, I don't love that I have to stop my life and sit down and pump. I'm doing it because, you know, that's what's necessary to give her the breast milk that I want to give her. So it's not like a leisure activity that I'm just sitting down and I'm forgetting my responsibilities. It's like I'm quite literally taking care of some of the responsibilities I've signed up for. So I think a little patience each way, you know, like I don't expect him to, anytime that we're about to go somewhere, like if we have plans to go somewhere and I'm like, we'll leave after I pump, I can almost feel an eye roll, you know what I'm saying, from across the room. And I get that. I don't make him feel bad about it because I know that's got to be annoying, you know, just to kind of like, even though he knows it's coming, to hear those words come out of my mouth, it's just like, oh gosh. But at the same time, he doesn't sit around and give me a hard time when I'm like, oh, I think she has a dirty diaper. Can you get that? I'm sitting here pumping and, you know, so, you know, he doesn't give me a hard time. I don't give him a hard time, and he's supportive and I appreciate his support. And I make sure that he knows that too, because that is really important. It's, like I said, quite literally some of the reasons why I kept going, because I haven't had so much of a hard time this time, thankfully. Yeah. Okay. This time around. But with Remy, it was awful. There were so many different times through mastitis, busted blood vessels, clogs, thrush, so much. And I felt like I was crying through most of that. Like, I feel like I spent 1 year and 9 months crying through that pumping journey. And he was just, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done that. So, yeah, I don't know how to end this. Other than get your arm out from behind me. It's killing my back. Okay, so that is all the questions. We have drained the battery. We have spent 55 minutes talking. I'm not going to like editing this one.
I was about 4 minutes here.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. This felt like one of the most genuine Q&As that we've done together. I think you're becoming a little bit more relaxed each time you come on camera. Yeah. They love you. They want more Mark content, don't you guys? Okay. So I'm going to put him out of his misery. I'm going to get... What?
Is that figuratively? Or...
I'm going to put him out of his misery by letting him get out from behind this camera. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching.